Yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man, who always thinks he can, a champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back in the yard streams for another edition of the Smackdown Breakdown, presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off, and you can't break down SmackDown without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Bay.
Oh, thank you.
You know when you just keep being validated in who your goats are? You ever feel like that? That's how I feel
I do.
recently. That's how I feel about John Cena. That's how I feel about Scott Hall. I just feel like, yep, I picked some good ones, y'all. Get on my level is what I'm saying. Get on my level.
I thought you were talking about another one of your guys, but yes, Cody. There was a certain hunk that made his
DM
name for
hunk.
DM. I was a little DM hunk.
I mean, that was pretty goated.
But no, I agree though. Cody it's very interesting how everything is shaping up.
I just feel like I've picked some good ones, that are just proven to be great. So shout out Cody.
Time and time again, just prove to be the reason why wrestling is so great. I have to agree with you there. I have to, because after watching last night and the intro and all that, I don't know, I'm just a little bit more excited for WrestleMania than I was a week ago.
I thought you were gonna be like a year ago.
No, I almost said a year ago, but meant a week ago.
I think it's starting to feel a little bit more real that we're gonna go. But I'm still not in that mindset yet. I think, if that makes any sense. It's like they're promoting. Obviously, they're gonna be promoting WrestleMania Hardcore now. And it's like, I'm still just being like, oh, okay, yeah. So this is what we're going to have this year. Just assuming that I'm going to be at home watching it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it hasn't hit me yet. Then it's like, oh, no, you're going to be there. This is going to be a completely different experience. So
I agree. I agree with that. It's going to be very interesting because, like you go to maybe like, oh, it's so exciting to be like, it's such a different animal. WrestleMania is such a different animal than any other pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it, that I've never experienced, you've never experienced, it. So to go in, and it's a whole week. Let's be real here.
It's not a week anymore, really. I don't understand why they don't do like access anymore. I wish that they did that, because that was, I mean, I get it. It's probably not the most fun for the wrestlers, but it's like you would pay to meet certain people, even if it was like $200 to go meet your favorite wrestler or more than that. I'm going to do it if I want to meet them. But otherwise, you'll pay like $100 to get into access, and then there's a bunch of people that you can meet at the same thing. It's like everybody is there. It's just such a cool experience that it kind of bums me out that it's like not really a week anymore. They've really like brought it down to being like, it's 2 days of fun. You know what I mean? It's not the same anymore, and that's unfortunate, because I wish I could have experienced one of those Mania weeks. But
I wanted to go to an access or something where they have the ring set up. You do your own entrance. What year was it where they had like, it was different, we'll say booths for an easy word, for an example of different activities you could do. I know there was one event where like you could announce a match alongside Michael Cole. There's different booths of like belts and stuff. Like there's more interactive things, and that's what makes WWE wrestling, or just wrestling in general, one of the greatest things is that the interactive element of it. People want to step inside the shoes of those that are the the wrestlers they love, and it's stuff like that that you can really give them that experience.
Yeah, they were doing that kind of stuff when I was going to SummerSlam.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
and then they stopped. So I don't know. It's just kind of lame.
Might be in a new regime. I mean, and
Maybe.
great segue into the opening of SmackDown with a clearly a new regime is taken over because holy hell, Sarah, that I felt like I felt something. I felt goosebumps with in what Papa Paul was saying.
I think this just this proved even further that this whole thing was not planned. Guys, this was not planned. Triple H does not want to be involved in storylines. Now he's thrusted into a storyline. This wasn't meant to happen. Triple H wanted to be hands off. He didn't want to have an on-screen character, and now he has to because The Rock's messing with him, and now he's shooting back The Rock. So to me, again, this was not the plan. I don't care what anyone says because I had to turn. Did I tell you I had to turn comments? I had to pause comments on our video about that this wasn't a work. The video that I posted before the press conference. I had to pause the comments because after the press conference on Thursday night, it was just comment after comment after comment because people found the video. And I was just getting a bunch of troll comments being like, ha ha ha, you marks, like you're just an idiot woman, blah, blah, blah. So I just deleted their comments and paused it so people couldn't comment. Because I was like, this is so ridiculous. Like all these people really think that we got worked when in reality they did. But yeah, so I had to do that. But they did announce beforehand that Triple H was going to be on SmackDown, and you knew it was going to be at the start. So he comes out, and they prove once again that they are paying attention to what is being said on social media. So everybody who is claiming that the social media reaction, the backlash to The Rock inserting himself had nothing to do with the pivot, it certainly did. Because Triple H comes out and says, oh, I feel like there was some confusion. I saw people were confused. I'm like, why would you say that though? Unless people were saying it on social media that they were confused, right? So he immediately comes out and he says he wants to clear things up, that Cody Rhodes will take on Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania for the undisputed, also, did you notice, undisputed WWE championship.
Good.
Didn't say Universal.
They didn't. They're good. Get that name out of there.
Yeah, I'm like, is that an indication that we're just going to call it the undisputed WWE championship? Because I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. Didn't they make wasn't there a graphic recently that said the same thing that you?
I have the graphic here.
Or there was one recently.
What it says. It just says the WWE champion. The WWE champion Roman Reigns. So maybe we're dropping Universal. So anyway, so he lets us know that, and we're like, yay! And everyone comes out, and well, initially they started with Rocky sucks chants. Rocky sucks, and then after he
it was offbeat.
Everyone was clear.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It was, but yeah.
Okay.
Everyone started cheering for Cody. Yeah, and then he continues to take shots at The Rock because he says some people don't know their role. Some people try to assert their authority when they don't have any. And he says he doesn't care where you sit. The only thing that is abundantly clear, regardless if you like it or not, is that there is one guy in charge and making the decisions, and that guy is him. And he says some people may not like it. They may be disappointed about Cody Rhodes facing Roman Reigns, but it doesn't matter if you like it. And I was like, Triple H, King, what?
That line popped me. That line did pop me.
I am. So this is an aspect that I feel like, you know, we didn't think that this was going to be part of the story. We saw that little glimpse of tense interaction between The Rock and Triple H after the press conference. But I kind of like, in a way, that they're actually going to take it further, and that it wasn't just like The Rock trying to be intimidating or trying to like assert that he's a heel, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just something that they kind of like glossed over and aren't going to address again. I like that Triple H is kind of like taking on the authority figure and being like, this is my show. The Rock doesn't rule things. Again, something that people were saying online, hence why Seth Rollins at the press conference even said, you're just trying to use your new title of being, the chairman of the board to like to insert yourself and do whatever you want. Why would they have said that if people weren't saying it online? So I like that they're involving Triple H in this way, and that I'm curious to see how this ends up going, like between the two of them.
Yeah. What I see from this is they're steering into the skid of the clashing authority figures. They're leaning
Mm,
into the skid of TKO being, the owner of WWE, and I love they steered in the skid and are coming out clean because holy shit, I love how that's kind of feels like it is the um dawning of some sort of new era
mhm.
with Triple H coming out and being the WWE authority figure. And then you have Rock of TKO, but is kind of it's the bloodline authority figure that
Yeah,
it's blurring the lines, which that's how you get the best reaction out of fans in this.
yeah.
It's incredible. And I it's really weird how well this is shaping up, you know what I mean? Because it seems very it's we're not used to it. Is the easy way to put it. We're not used to
I
stuff
think
like this.
I'm because I still believe, and I feel all signs point to this not being the original plan. Um, I'm impressed with how well it's going so far because it wasn't planned in advance. So they kind of had to just do this so quickly and shift the story. And although there were some aspects of the press conference that felt a little bit unfinished, I can't blame them because, as we said, it had been less than a week
Yeah.
before that they were getting all of this backlash. And so the fact that we're at this position now, I feel um yeah, I'm impressed that they have been able to make this as interesting as it has in only a week, because this could have
Mhm.
been really bad, if especially uh where we were hearing for so long that they were trying to plan things like months in advance. Like, so the fact that they're doing all of this like on a,
On the fly,
very,
it's
yeah,
incredible.
it's like it's good. Um
Mm.
so
I don't wanna interrupt you, Sarah, but we do
oh,
have
thank
a
you. Oh
nice
my
little
gosh.
dono from Main Event Fro. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, as always.
Yes.
Cody about to wrap up his story and send Roman to the next chapter without a title.
I hope
Hell
so.
yeah. We're we're
If
we're rooting for it. We're
if
rooting
that's what
for it.
happens, I am going to cry. Thank God no one around me will know who I am. So, but I really do. I will probably cry because, like,
Oh,
man, my
tears.
heart beats for Cody Rhodes.
Oh, I'm more than one tear will be shed. Mania
Mhm.
weekend. Oh my
Oh
god, I'm
yeah.
gonna be worried. Yeah, I'm right there with you. We're gonna be a couple basket cases just
Everyone else is
enjoying.
going to be like, "What the hell?"
It's
Be like, "Don't judge me.
it's
I
like
just
just
love
stop it.
wrestling is real to me. Damn it."
It's real to
That's what
me,
I will
damn
say.
it. I can't wait for that.
Yep,
Oh my
that'll
god.
be me.
Oh yeah. So I had it. Obviously, we
All right.
gotta wrap that
So,
up. But yes. Oh, great segue.
yeah. Okay, so then we see, well, Nick Aldis and Adam Pierce came out with Triple H, but we finally see why. And the big elephant in the room, of course, is because Cody finally chose Roman Reigns to face at WrestleMania. What does that mean for Seth Rollins and the World Heavyweight Championship? And this is when Nick Aldis reveals that there will be 6 matches to determine who are going to be in the Elimination Chamber match. And those 6, whoever wins will go on to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Adam Pearce then reveals who will be involved in those matches. It is Randy Orton, Bronson Reed, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, AJ Styles, The Miz, Bobby Lashley, Ivar, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, Dom, and LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that we will see a couple of those matches on SmackDown, which we'll talk about, obviously. And then they also let us know that we will see Bronson Reed versus Bobby Lashley on Raw, as well as LA Knight versus Ivar. And then next week on SmackDown, we will see Logan Paul versus The Miz. So, when I first saw who was going to be in these matches, I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. And I was like trying to figure out who I thought was going to be in them. And I'm already wrong. Because I honestly thought Sami Zayn was going to be in it, which we'll talk about. But I'm still not sure what direction they're going to go in. We know that Drew and Randy are in it. And we know that AJ's out. We know that Sammy's out. Logan Paul and The Miz, I think Logan Paul's going to be in it.
1,000%.
Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
LA Knight.
Yeah, I don't see Ivar going over LA Knight unless AJ Styles gets involved.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing too. Are they going... They made it seem like they're going to keep going with LA Knight and AJ Styles, which it seems like that might be the Mania match. But then there's all this talk of Logan Paul putting the US title on the line against LA Knight at Mania. So if that's the case, that's why I feel like they'll both have to be in the Elimination Chamber match, because then that could be how they build a feud. Like maybe Logan eliminates LA Knight or something, and then LA Knight's like, what? Something like that. But otherwise, it is what it is. I think that they picked some good people. I'm intrigued. I think this is going to be a phenomenal match. And we started off because DM Hunk, he comes out to make his presence known. And he first comes out and says that he is happy that the fans are loving his new shirt, that they all agree that it was what's best for business, that he took CM Punk out and that he will miss WrestleMania, and says that it is the hottest new t-shirt at WWE shop. And he, DM Hunk, will make sure that Punk does not see a single penny of royalties from the shirt. And he also then credits himself for how Mania is shaping up, because he said, he was very vocal to Cody on Raw about how he needed to pick Roman Reigns. And when that didn't work, he beat it into him. And that is why Cody decided at the press conference to go after Roman. So he says, now I have my chance to get my rightful moment at WrestleMania. And that's when we get into our first qualifying match, where it was AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre. And I was surprised that they put these two together in a match, because I thought AJ was going to have... I thought he was going to be in this match, like in the Elimination Chamber match.
Very interesting why they didn't have him in. I'm very intrigued what we're doing with AJ Styles.
And I think that's why I think who ends up in the Elimination Chamber is probably going to give us more of an idea of the direction they're going in. So that's why I was saying, like you said, okay, well, if LA Knight wins and he's in the Elimination Chamber, maybe AJ does something to take away his moment. And LA Knight was on commentary for this match. They definitely played up the fact that they hate each other, so they're not abandoning that, which is good. But then you also are like, okay, well, rumors about Logan versus LA Knight. So if Logan's in the Elimination Chamber with LA Knight, they can do something, and then that can get started. Maybe it's a triple threat. I don't know, but I said this on Twitter, and maybe I'll ask your opinion. We've kind of briefly talked about it, but I feel like I would be... I'm kind of torn, but I feel like I would kind of be more on board with LA Knight versus AJ Styles at Mania than LA Knight versus Logan Paul at Mania.
Interesting. I'm... Why?
It's surprising, right? Because it's like, I don't want LA Knight to be United States champion necessarily, because it's not like a prized title right now, and so it's like, It would be
Okay.
great for him to have a championship, even if it isn't one that I necessarily want. But I just like the idea of his first Mania being against a legend like AJ Styles. Like, to me, and there's more story there because it's like they were both involved in these matches against Roman Reigns and now they're both completely removed from it, that it would be kind of cool to then see them finally go at it and for that to be LA Knight's first Mania match. Like, that seems sick to me. Like, more so than it being Logan Paul, you know.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I would be very satisfied with that. My only counterpoint would be that Logan Paul being a, we'll say, bridge, throwing a felon here, he's a bridge champion. And we've said it on here multiple upon multiple times that the US title feels stale, especially
Yeah.
compared to the Intercontinental title with Gunther.
King.
Like, I mean, just a night and day. So because of that, you need a way to get the US title elevated. Well, there wouldn't be a better way to elevate it than putting it on a guy like LA Knight. And if he has a match with Logan Paul, we know what Logan Paul can do in the ring. It's not going to just be a dud of a match. And you get right after Mania, it's like, well, who's going to challenge LA Knight for the championship first after a rematch and all that nonsense? Well, you got AJ Styles as your first challenger. Now you have AJ Styles versus LA Knight for the US title. It gives a bigger feel to the US title than it's like Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley. You
Yeah.
don't care about that, even if it is for a title. You're just like, okay, cool. They're fighting over the US title again. Of course they are. But
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, the LA Knight's US champion. All right, sweet. Or AJ Styles wins the US championship. Oh man, like it gives a bigger feel to it, which is definitely something that's been lacking with the US title.
Well, and I mean, I'm a big LA Knight fan, so it's like if it did end up being Logan Paul, it's like an easy way to get heat on Logan and then just
Mm,
like completely take advantage and get more love for LA Knight, and his first match being a title match that he walks out the victor. Like, I'm not going to complain about that necessarily. I mean, I don't love it. I wish that it was the Intercontinental or something instead of the
mm.
US title. But I think that they could have a pretty iconic feud. So I'm not 100% on board with it, and I've said that multiple times that I understand why LA Knight fans, like big LA Knight fans, don't love the idea of him going from being in contention for the WWE championship to then becoming like US champion. I understand why that's not an ideal situation, but if I'm trying to think about it from the perspective of, okay, this is his first Mania match. He wasn't even on the card last year.
Right,
They just shot to him in the
right.
audience. You know what I mean? It's like, this
Mm,
is quite a jump from that, in the fact
mm.
that he would be going from not being on the card to being put on the card in a title match against Logan Paul, who they're all like, he's the biggest star, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a pretty big deal, even if it isn't what we all necessarily wanted to see, if that makes sense.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre, just going over it quickly. It was a good match, but I think we all kind of expected Drew McIntyre was going to walk out the victor, and I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. King stuff right here. Okay, Drew McIntyre is absolutely on fire right now. I am obsessed with him, and I just feel like every single week he's getting better. Like, it's just like incredible. Everything he's doing is hilarious.
He
And
utilized. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, he's supposed to be a bad guy, but he's so like people are still cheering for him. It's like, but
It's his. He's utilizing all of his screen time. Is a
mm,
great way to put it. That, yeah, what he's saying, right? On the broadcast show, whatever, is awesome. But then the clips that he's putting out too,
oh my
like
god,
he's just firing on all cylinders. From not only his TV work, the social media clips are captivating. I mean, he's got a whole goddamn T-shirt dedicated to this punk shit. That
hmm
is, I gotta buy mine still. I'm slacking. The champ is
I'm
slacking in
kind of
getting him.
surprised that you want it because of what it
Oh
says.
no, I'm a pre. I appreciate
The
a
trolling.
good thing. Yeah, like if it's good, I don't care if it's against my guy. I mean, I'm all in on Cody Rhodes and the whole thing right now. I'm the biggest Rock fan. I was,
Yeah.
like just because I love CM Punk doesn't mean I don't appreciate a good troll job when it's done correctly. I'll pay for that. That's
Y
hilarious.
yeah.
Like and that I think even speaks more volume to what Drew is doing, that you have a fan of CM Punk, a a big fan of his, and what he's doing is just too good that you kinda have to just put your hands up and be like, "Yeah, like, come on. You
Mhm.
you gotta give this man his flowers." And how good would it feel too, Sarah? And a real this would really feel like we're back. And I don't mean just you and me or Drew McIntyre. I mean the world. Because Drew's gonna get that moment
He
at
has
Mania
to.
and
He
be
has
in
to.
front of the crowd that he needed in 2020 that he didn't get because the world shut down. And that was the button that, started all this fucking shenanigans in the first place. And then to have him finally get that, like, you have two stories essentially at Mania that you didn't have, what was it, 4 years ago now?
Mhm.
Coming to like, oh, I could go on and on about it, but just
Well, and I feel like, we know that Punk isn't gonna be back for months because I think it said, like, 4 to 6 months, but
yeah,
the ideal scenario to me, given how much they're leaning into the the idea that Drew injured Punk and ruined his mania and blah blah blah. The way to top that off would be to have him win at Mania. That's the ultimate troll back to Punk, and then even keep the title on him until Punk comes back. There you go, instant feud because it's going to be like, okay, you took my opportunity away. Well, I want to take your title away and show you that I'm the better man and that I probably would have beaten Seth in the main event at WrestleMania instead of you. Like it makes the most sense. And there's plenty of time for them to even get Drew to a point where people actually do hate him and maybe don't really cheer for him as much, especially if they're going to involve Sammy a bit because obviously they're pulling on the heartstrings there with Sammy. So I feel like this is just the best case scenario and people would be so upset with Seth losing. And I'm trying to think, right? Like, not that they necessarily have to like cater to the fans or don't cater to the fans, but if we're supposed to believe like Cody's gonna win, okay, that's a home run. Okay, well, Drew beating Seth, that's not a home run. Bailey beating Io, that's great. But like
need
there's
it,
certain
need
things that,
that.
yeah, it's like, so there's certain things that um seem obvious and people would be happy with, but you also have to have title changes that not everyone is going to be happy with. And I feel like this is one that makes the most sense and also won't please everybody except for, you know, people like
Oh,
us.
the peeps, the real peeps. Okay,
Yeah.
come on, the real peeps.
So before we get into the next part, did you want to what is
You
going
read my mind, girl. You read my
Okay.
mind. Because we got one comp, but I mean, we got Bernard here. We got
What
David.
up? What
Um,
up?
you're not late. All right, you're right on time. And yeah, oh my god, after the shit that was announced, I'm
Mhm.
more than excited for next
Yeah.
Friday.
We'll talk about it too.
We're gonna talk about it. All right,
Yep.
let's talk. What's up, Marcus? Marcus has been here for like a little bit, like new couple weeks, but like here,
I
love
know.
it, fucking
Yep.
great.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
and let me see if there's more. Well, main event Pro obviously is here because of the great dono. And yes, Marcus, I think this is the time to ask this question. Uh, they need to, right? I feel like a selfish fan. I do that that I want a ladder match at Mania. I don't care who you put in it. I don't really care what title it's for, to be quite honest with you. But WrestleMania doesn't feel like WrestleMania to me unless there's some big gimmick match. And no, I don't mean a goddamn Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I mean like a ladder, table, TLC, like whatever.
I wouldn't be surprised if this might be the US title match. So if they do go all in on LA Knight versus AJ Styles, which we said is a possibility because they're not abandoning that storyline, obviously based on what we saw on SmackDown. We were told that on this week's SmackDown, we were going to find out who Logan Paul's next opponent was going to be. They decided to forego that by throwing Logan into the qualifying matches. And obviously, if he's in the Elimination Chamber, he's not going to have a match at the Elimination Chamber. Then that also means he's not winning the Elimination Chamber. Or
No.
I would assume.
Don't even think it, Sarah.
No,
Don't
I
even
know.
put that thought. Don't do it.
So that means after Elimination Chamber, he's in the exact same situation, right? He doesn't have the next opponent. So why not throw Logan into a ladder match and have him defend the US title? That's another way too, to get people excited about the US title. And you can throw some other people in that match that might not have gotten that opportunity beforehand. But ladder matches get people excited about everything. People freak out over a briefcase with a contract inside it, So if they can be that excited over something that they don't know what will happen once they cash that in, then I feel like that's a good way to hype up the US title. And it's an exciting match to see because, like you said, it's a different match. It's a stipulation match. And it is something that we haven't seen at Mania for however long at this point. So I feel like I would be on board with that.
I would be very on board. I think the last great ladder match I saw at Mania was actually, ironically enough, when Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, whatever you want to call him, won at Mania 32. And that Mania sucked. That Mania sucked. And Roman was main eventing. Look how the times have changed. Yeah. I want to see that. What was I gonna? I also, before we get into the next segment, I did want to bring this up to you because AEW is coming to Boston.
He's such a loser, but yeah.
Did you see that from?
Yep.
Denise? Yep.
Way to spoil your own stuff. Like, I get that the TD Garden spoiled it, but you didn't have to double down on the spoiling.
He's just like a little kid that's in the candy shop and is just so excited. Like I empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it. But point is, I'm trying to make is that I try to get my ticket for it, or at least see how much a ticket was if I had to go alone and go with myself with the peeps. $89 for balcony.
All right. Not bad.
Should I pull the trigger on it?
I mean, if you really want to be there, then I say, yeah, go. I'm trying to get better about going to things by myself. It's a little bit trickier, I would say, because I am a woman. So going to places at night in the city by myself, it's a little bit sketchier.
It is.
But depending on the environment, the situation, whatever, I've been to like a concert by myself, and I'm glad that I went. Like, I still had a good time, even though it was by myself. So I say, like, if you can't find anyone, like, I don't want the idea of not being able to find someone to prevent me from doing something I want to do. So that's why I would say to you, like, if you really want to go, then just go. Like, who cares if it's by yourself? You're surrounded by other people who are there, and you could probably become friends with the people next to you. You know what I mean?
And that would be really, that's a champ that's kind of the MO here.
Yeah, even if it's just friends for the night, like, you could still be like, yeah, like, with the people next to you, like
that's you got to live the gimmick. You kind of talking me. You're talking. We might be because it's also a debut too. As we've said here, not to toot my own horn, but when I go to wrestling events, historic things happen. Not. I mean, there's evidence. There is evidence of that. So I don't know. We're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. I think we're gonna do it. But we got to talk about the actual promotion. Yes, you got it. I'll let you go off about this because all I'm gonna say about this that has any sort of value is that we need more of this type of shit. That's it. We need more of this type of shit. I don't care what your personal thoughts are about Pretty Deadly. I don't care if they're completely against ours, but you have to agree that this type of thing needs to be included more in this current era of wrestling. That's it.
I
Go off,
just,
queen.
yeah, I mean, I only have to say,
Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy!
Yes, boy. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
it didn't play for me. My internet is being wonky with StreamYard today, so I didn't even get to
Okay.
see it.
Oh, I did. It was nice. It was
I
like,
know.
yes,
I'm
boy.
glad. I'm
Yes, boy.
glad.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we see a video of Pretty Deadly. They are at not the pier, but they're like at the lake in Florida. And Elton wants us all to look at the clouds because he says that cloud looks just like Queen Elizabeth. And it did. It was literally Queen Elizabeth. And but Kit was not interested, and Kit was looking kind of down. So Elton asks him, "What is wrong? Like, are you mad at Lizzie? Are you mad at Lizzie?" And he was like, "What?" And then he shows off his hand and how his hand is just messed up because of Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne hurts my hand. And that is when Elton says, "Curse thy Pete Dunne." And he says that they need to get ready because it's WrestleMania season, so they need to show everybody on Friday night Smackdown what Pretty Deadly is all about. And then we get the best version of Yes Boy that I think I've ever heard in my life. So what were your thoughts on this?
I love when they say names incorrectly
Yes.
because it's like their kind of gimmick. Like Pete Dunne, are you serious? That's so funny. It's just like that's what I mean. Is that I don't care if you like them, but you gotta respect the work that they're doing. I mean, this is so stupid. Like, let's take our fandom out of the Sara and look at it from a bird's. Like, this is just stupid. They're just hanging out at a lake. There's a gazebo, like right in the lake, whatever. And they're just having this conversation, like very deep, meaningful conversation. And it just so stupid, but you're so captivated because they're so into it and they're making it this intimate moment and like they're just so good. They're like I haven't seen anything like this in so long where you care you just have to be entertained by them. They're I'm obsessed. You got I gotta give you credit there that you kind of persuade me into being a yes boy.
Mm-hmm.
I
I thought the other than the clear funny parts about the entire thing, I think the funniest part was that it didn't really have a point.
Oh, there's
like
0 point to it.
It was just like reminding everybody like, hey, we're still here, you know? And so I'm fine with it because I've said this that I was a little bit bummed that they've been off of TV quite a bit recently, especially because we thought that it was going to be, you know, once they were done with Bate and Dune, that they were going to move on to something else. But no, that's not what happened. And they've actually been off TV since they had their last match. So I'm like, can we just get them involved in something? And again, it's just the latest example of why the tag titles need to be split because they are victims to not having a title to compete for because there's only one set of tag titles at this point. So I just hope that this is a sign of like we're going to be seeing them more. I want to see more of these interactions. Like we're getting the hilarity stuff with R-Truth on Raw. Like can we kind of have that plus like pretty great matches from them on SmackDown? That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Because I love me some Pretty Deadly. And yeah. And yes, Marcus says change those tag team title designs. Yes. The giant pennies becoming the giant nickels. We don't love it.
Well,
They need to be
if it's falling in the order.
Yeah.
Pennies, nickels. I don't want dimes because then that title's gonna look like this.
They need to be gold.
Terrible.
That's make them like the dollar coins.
What if they did? Oh, I do want to talk about this. But what if they did like the old design of the SmackDown tag titles? Not even the old SmackDown early 2000s that like Stephanie McMahon, like when she first took over, Shawn Benjamin, Charlie Haas design. Those, in my opinion, were the best version of the SmackDown WWE tag titles.
I don't even care if they, I don't care if they don't go back to like an older design, but I love the Intercontinental title design. So like do something off of that, because the tag title design has been horrific since they brought in the giant pennies. Like that was the ugliest thing. I don't know why anyone signed off on that, especially because they were bronze. So it's like, what? And then changing them to silver was better because they weren't as ugly, but they're still ugly. And so it's like, whoever helped design the Intercontinental title, can we get that person involved with redesigning the tag titles? Because the Intercontinental title is legit. Like, it looks sick. So, like, do something. So, the tag titles look better and like look like they belong, because they still look like they don't belong.
I know. Agreed.
And then there is a way that they could probably differentiate them too, and it doesn't even have to be the strap. Like maybe if they have jewels on them or something, right? Make the jewels on one red and make the jewels on the other blue or something, like where it's not like so in your face ugly, but it's like, okay, these are clearly the Raw and these are clearly the SmackDown, because the colored straps, no,
get rid of the colored straps.
Just
get rid of them.
Yeah. So then we move on to the women having their Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. We get Bianca Belair versus Mia Yim. It's another match that I would say was fairly predictable. You knew that Bianca was going to probably win this match because they had her a part of the presser and not Bayley. And she was talking about how she is a three-peat at Mania. She's undefeated, blah, blah, blah. So you knew that they were going to try to get her involved in something that made it seem like she had a direction to the WrestleMania main event or something. So Bianca will join Becky as the two right now in the Elimination Chamber match. We will see Liv Morgan take on Zoe Stark on Raw. And then we will see Tiffany Stratton versus Shotzi. It's Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy time.
She will take on Shotzi on next week's SmackDown. And then we will also see Naomi take on Zelina Vega. And then I have a theory. So we're still not sure, obviously, how this is all going to pan out. But because Bianca is not going to win the Elimination Chamber, we believe it's going to be Becky. Jade Cargill is going to be in the Elimination Chamber. Her and Bianca are going to go after each other. One of them is going to pin the other. Maybe Jade eliminates Bianca. That's how they get their Mania match. Okay. That's how it's going to happen.
I love that. Okay, I love that. My only issue is you're going to have Jade's first debut match, be in the Elimination Chamber.
I know, but I feel like it's the best case scenario because it's a stipulation match. You're allowed to do less, because like there's so many other people. And the thing is people are acting like Jade's not ready. Guys, she's already competed on television and been a champion. Like, it has nothing to do with that. I think that, she was training because obviously she's not green, but she is fairly new to wrestling. She's not been doing it very long. And then she comes to a company that actually has a training facility. So why wouldn't she take advantage of that? But she's been training. So it's not like she needs to be held off, or like, oh, she needs to ease into it by being an Elimination Chamber. But to me, I feel like you can't wait on her debut for too long, because you already had her come out at the Royal Rumble. You can't then sit on that and act like, oh, it's just a one, it's like, so she'll have her qualifying match and then she'll get in there, and then that sets her and Bianca up. And then I also feel like because they're throwing Raw and SmackDown people into these Elimination Chambers, It doesn't necessarily mean that Bianca has to be, that Jade has to be on SmackDown to face Bianca. Because I do think that Jade needs to go to Raw. So I think that we could see that. And that's the way that it made the most sense to me. Because, come on.
It does.
Or even Jade versus Bianca versus Naomi. Come on. Stop it right now. Stop it right now.
That would be a good match.
I just want to see Jade at WrestleMania. Okay. I just want to say Queen. I just want to see everybody. I want to see Tiffany. I just want to see all my queens. Chelsea. I just want
Chelsea Green is shooting up the rankings of my favorite divas, and I'm not just talking about beauty. Like, no, serious note.
I love her so much. I am obsessed.
Did you listen to the Chris Van Fleet interview yet?
I have only seen a little bit of it. Yes.
Okay, me too. I've only seen clips. I want to listen to that. I have 3 days off now. Shout out. I have 3 days off from work. I'm going to be doing stuff like that, and I need to listen to it because what I've seen from the clips already, yeah, I know, Dickie. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's true, but
I hope it's not true. That's a giant mistake. Giant mistake. There's the SmackDown women's roster is becoming way too packed. They can't put her on SmackDown. That's a mistake.
And Raw is it really is, like, from an outside perspective, not an us perspective, it is the A show. And the way to, I would say, get the most out of Jade Cargill is putting her on Raw, the flagship show that everyone knows WWE for. I could just absolutely see something like her being, or whatever in Raw. Yeah.
Well, and then it's like, then she's competing, like, because Naomi just came back. Like, it's like Tiffany just got called up. Like, you don't want to take screen time away from them because then you're also going to need to put Jade on TV, obviously. And it's like, but you don't want to then, like, put other girls on the back burner, who also deserve or need that time. And there's such an opportunity for her on Raw. And, like, I don't think that she necessarily needs to decide to go to SmackDown to face Bianca. Or even people are talking about having Bianca and Jade tag team together first. Maybe that's something that they do. I don't know. But again, she doesn't have to be on SmackDown. She shouldn't be on SmackDown. That will be such a mistake. I'll be so mad.
Doesn't need it.
Okay, so then we see I'm having some issues with. Okay, it's working. Okay, I'm just having some issues with my stream.
This was awesome.
And I can tell that because, like, we're clashing too, so my StreamYard is messed up. But anyway, so we see Braun Breaker backstage, and he is talking with Triple H. Triple H says to him that he is so proud of him, blah blah blah, and then Braun asks him for some advice because he has 2 offers from Raw and SmackDown, and he can't decide which show to go to. And before Triple H can really give him any advice, they are interrupted by Mr. Paul Heyman, who looks very pleased to meet Braun, and said that he is a member of a great but crazy family. And so I was like, I don't know if that's foreshadowing anything. I don't know if that was supposed to mean anything more than, these people just happening to be in the same place at the same time. I don't know. Or maybe it means nothing. But this is when we see Paul Heyman tell Triple H that Roman Reigns and The Rock will be on SmackDown next week. So
I want to talk about that, but I do want to bring up the point that, do you remember when The Undertaker came to NXT?
Mm-hmm.
Came over to that in that universe. Do you remember why that match even happened?
What match?
It was Mello and Braun.
Mm-hmm.
And Mello had Cena in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
Braun Breaker had Paul Heyman in his corner.
Oh, that's right. So that's what I'm saying. So that's why I feel like there must be something to it. However,
oh yeah.
Paul has made it very clear to believe him at his that not represent anyone else ever Brock Lesnar and Reigns. Yes. So now that we know Brock Lesnar is, like, being completely wiped out of WWE stuff, he was even removed from the opening videos. I would assume that means he will not do anything like that for Braun. But maybe if they presented him with the right opportunity, they might. I don't know that Braun needs it, and I also don't know how they would boot him out of Roman's story. So but as we've said, it feels like these types of things don't happen on accident. So that's why it's like this might not mean anything now, but it might in the future. I don't know.
That long-term storytelling.
Yeah. So what do
What
you
we're
think
doing.
about Rock and Roman being there next week? Like what do you think is
I'm
going to happen?
shenanigans, one, the easy word. But that is going to be it's gonna be the show where everything's explained from the kickoff, where it's gonna be the introduction of the Rock and Roman chapter of this bloodline story, and why the Rock is aligning himself now, why he actually slapped Cody, why they believe they should be the main event of WrestleMania instead of Cody Rhodes. And now we're going to play more into the fact that there really is more than one royal family in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock made his great point. I mean, that family tree, that flow chart was incredible. But you can't knock what the Rhodes family has done and how influential they are. And now it sounds crazy, but because of the way they've had to shift this WrestleMania main event, we're actually getting more out of it. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
get a deeper, more meaningful story out of this. And we've been trashing The Rock a little bit for obvious reasons, but we got to give credit here too, because he did say when he gets back into WWE and wants to be part of it, it needs to be something big, monumental, and something that is historic.
And this is
Well,
bigger.
way bigger.
This is way bigger than if it was just The Rock versus Roman.
And that's why he's here,
Yeah.
because it's
I
not
give
just
him
Rock Roman.
I give him credit because for only a small minor thing,
That's
because
fine.
I do believe that he wanted to insert himself and take this moment away from Cody. But I give him credit for being open to shifting in this way, because The Rock's not been a heel for 20 years. And as I've said, he's become such a fixture in Hollywood and has this persona of being like so humble and nice and kind and like over the top for the fans and whatever. So um it could be considered a risky move for him to start being a complete a-hole on TV, especially for the kids who who don't understand he's playing a character on Smackdown and whatever, if he's on Raw, but whatever. He's playing a character in wrestling, and then that's not who he is. There are people who can't separate the two. So it is a little risky, and we talked about, it's why they didn't have John Cena turn heel for basically since he became
Ever.
the top baby face in the
Yeah.
company. They never took that risk. So I can give him credit for that, because I think that it's almost a shame that they didn't go in this direction to begin with. And I think it's a blessing, obviously, but it's like they should have realized that this was such a better story than if they just went down the route that they thought was the best and what everybody was going to want, and that was going to be, the biggest money maker. This is the biggest money maker,
This
because
is
no one
easily
expected this. No one expected The Rock to be all on Roman's side and to be defending him and going after Cody. Everybody expected him to come in and say, I want to face Roman. I hate you, Roman. I'm the tribal chief, blah, blah, blah. That's boring, though. We've been predicting that for 3 years.
yeah.
This is not what we predicted. So I like I said, I can give him credit for that, because I can't imagine it was necessarily an easy decision, even if it wasn't necessarily his choice. It's just the direction that they had to go in. But he's doing a good job so far. So
He's doing a great job. The only thing I'll add is that it's going to be really interesting. And I'm thinking, my nephew, your nephew's watching it too, and the kids that are watching now and are seeing The Rock be, this heel, this asshole. and they're like, well, he's it's The Rock. He's in Moana. He's in
Yeah.
this. Like, why is he being a jerk to Cody Rhodes? We love it's like, oh, you have not seen anything. This was it's like he would never do that. That's so unlike The Rock. Well, go watch 1996 and 2003, and you will see that this is right up his alley.
But then if you even think about it too, like, because people kept saying, oh, it's like Hollywood Rock. This is way worse than Hollywood Rock, because Hollywood Rock was just like an arrogant prick. Like, because he movies, like, I'm bigger than wrestling. And it was like, that was more his vibe than just being a straight up like asshole. And that's like what he's being now, like making it like a power trip type of thing. Like, it's not exactly the same. So this is something that we haven't seen in over 20 years from The Rock. Seriously. So that's pretty big. I wanted to get to some comments, but like I said, you might have to do it because
I'll do it. Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, Dickie hit the nail on the head. He screams Paul Heyman guy. I did see this where I want to find this comment. Nope, not that. No, because that's Jade. But someone said that it doesn't feel like, yeah, he did look like.
That's what I said. Remember, he like
did.
completely cowered to The Rock. So I was like, that's even interesting, because up until that moment, everyone was like, okay, they're going to clash over who's the real tribal chief, who's the real martyr of the family. And so the fact that Roman just kind of like threw his hands up and just allowed The Rock to be that guy. I mean, I understand that we believe that they had to pivot, and so he couldn't do that, but I did think that was an interesting aspect, because I'm like, that would be the whole basis of why you guys were supposed to have a match, and now you're just like, yeah, okay, Rocky, yeah, you're the tribal chief,
you're my
like
tribal chief.
You're my tribal chief, Rocky.
Oh my god, that would
was
be
Roman.
Suddenly, yeah, you go.
It's you, Daddy. That's what Roman said.
Heyman should betray Roman and become the Rainmaker's wise man. You're kind of alluding to what I think is what happened with Sami Zayn, but you know what? I'll save that. I'll save that. I'll say. How about you?
Sami Zayn versus Okada?
All I'm saying, Sarah. Okay, all I'm saying is wrestling repeats itself. A crazy chef once told me that. Okay. And if you remember, not even you remember, you definitely remember, what's one of your favorite NXT matches ever?
Nakamura versus
Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm. I would be fine with that. Well, and that's what I was saying. I would be okay with if it was Nakamura who was like, I don't have a match, and he's calling someone out, and then it ended up being Okada. I would be fine with that being Sami's match, because that would be a huge match for Sami.
Imagine we're at WrestleMania.
No.
And you just hear the fucking coin drops. I would mark out so bad.
Oh my god.
So bad. I would be sobbing. The thing is, it's very much could happen. Like, let's not belittle us here, okay? We know ball. All right, Pitts and Sara know ball. This ball might be in Philly's court in April. Okay, all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm trying to get this banner up.
You want me to? There we go. You did it.
Okay, finally. There we go. Okay, so we move on to Bayley. She comes out to the ring and she wants to talk about what happened last week on Smackdown, where she revealed to the rest of the girls of Damage Control minus Dakota that she knows that they were talking about her, probably preparing to turn on her. So she wants to talk about how that was something that she wishes never happened, and in some way she can't believe that it did. And the best part about this whole thing is the second she came out, the crowd was giving her so much love, and I was very happy for her, because I love when something like this happens and wrestling fans just immediately forget that, a week ago, an hour ago, 5 minutes ago, I hated your guts, but now I love you. Like, I love that they do that. And even Bailey kind of was like, okay, so we're cool now. Like, we're cool. And it's like, yes, yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And then they also were letting her know that she deserves it. So I thought that was great. So she thanks them for seeing who she really is and how much this all means to her. And then we see her get interrupted by Dakota Kai, who comes out and is trying to convince her that she had no idea what the other girls of Damage Control were planning to do. She says that she wasn't there last week because she had to meet with her doctor because she is very close to being cleared to wrestle again. And Bailey was a little bit like, girl, I don't know. And so after a little bit back and forth, she says, well, it's Asuka and Kairi. Like, they have really changed Io, because Io was on board with us and she was a full believer in Damage Control until they came around, which then prompts those three ladies to come out. They surround the ring as Bailey. Dakota comes in with a steel chair and makes it look like she is going to hit Bailey in the back, because when you want to betray somebody, you grab a steel chair and you sneak up behind them and you hit them in their back. That is just the rules of WWE. Okay.
We don't make them, we just follow them.
Yes.
Easy.
So we see Bailey jump out of the way, which then Dakota goes after all three of the other girls, and the two just kind of stand there, and it makes it seem like, okay, was this Dakota choosing sides? Did Dakota kind of just say, I'm on Team Bailey? We don't know. So I do kind of like that aspect, because we were saying, like, all right, so Bailey going up against at least Asuka, Kairi, and Io, who is going to be on her side? And we were saying, maybe somebody from NXT, maybe nobody. I kind of like the idea of it being Dakota, and then maybe even Dakota turns on her when she beats Io. That would be a great way to elevate elevate Io still and elevate Dakota, because Dakota obviously was a big fixture in NXT, but she's not been able to do anything because she's been injured. So it would be pretty cool to see if that was maybe her first feud or something.
Dakota, you can't. I love her. I love Dakota Kai, one of my gals, but you can't trust her. Okay, she is known for heel turns and turning on her friends. I've seen that clip of her big booting Tegan Nox in that War Games cage 1,000 times. Once you know someone is capable of that, you kind of have to have eyes in the back of your head. I have eyes in the back of Bailey's head for her. All right, because this is just inevitable. It's like Thanos. She's inevitable, and it's more not a matter of if she is. It's really just a matter of when.
He wants that gold.
Well, pretty good with it too.
Be good with Bailey until your opportunity strikes, and obviously going after Bailey feels like an easier thing than going after Io when she's got Kairi and Asuka right there. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I do feel like this has the potential to be the main event of night one. Triple H said whatever is the hottest story, the most intriguing story, whatever in the company, that is what is mostly determining what is a main event and what is not. And I feel like if they keep going with this story, this might be this year's Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I feel like that could be what we see unfold this year, which I feel like would be really great to have women main event this year.
They need to main event night one. I'm fully on the stance that you need to have Bailey Io main event night one.
She's the only one of the horsewomen who hasn't main evented Mania,
and that's just a travesty. It really is.
Yeah. So I hope we see it. Then we see we'll see it in a second, because I'm trying, guys. I don't know. StreamYard does this to me and it's really annoying. So we see DIY versus British Strong Style for the number one contenders to the tag team titles, which is with Judgment Day. This is a great match. I do like that they're going more with not really caring about if it's baby faces against baby faces, heels against heels. there's a common goal, and the goal is to become the number one contender or to become the champion. So I do like that Triple H is implementing that more. This might have been more of a problematic one to do it with because you're trying to get both of these teams over. But I think maybe at the end when we see Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate win and they go to shake DIY's hand, like you can't, you don't hate either of them.
That's
you
it.
just know.
Yeah.
It was just a showing of who was the better team in that moment.
Mhm.
So we are going to see British Strong Style versus Judgment Day for the tag titles at Elimination Chamber. And I'm wondering, do you think that they have a good chance to take the tag titles? Do you think they'll take the tag titles off Judgment Day before Mania? That's the bigger question, because maybe you think that British Strong Style has a good chance of winning, but do you think that they'll really do that a month before Mania?
All I can see is a wonky finish that ends up having Judgment Day to escape with their titles for the final time. Like Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis, they're just sick of it. Even both of them could be like, we're sick of it. You guys just run away with your titles and, all this interference. Why not?
What if we get a tag team ladder match?
Circle gets, we're on that same wavelength. That KK. We're there, because that's where I'm alluding to, is that you have Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne getting a title match at Mania along with other teams like DIY, Pretty Deadly, Imperium. Yes.
Well, but see, there's so many. The Creeds
could be in there. The Creeds deserve some respect.
Yes, but I would love for Pretty Deadly to be in there too. Come on. Oh my god. I just need to see all of my favorites at Mania weekend, okay? I have never seen Imperium and Gunther. I've never seen Pretty Deadly. I haven't seen, oh my god. It's because I haven't been to a wrestling show since 2017. So this is going to be monumental. But I do like the idea of it being a tag title because, hello, some of the most iconic ladder matches in WWE history were for tag team titles. And I feel like that is a lot better of a tag team match than like the tag team turmoil type of thing that they've been trying to do.
Yeah.
Where
Sarah's gone.
Hello?
She's back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I would prefer that they had it be a ladder match for the tag titles than it just be like a normal, just like, oh, we needed a tag team match on the card. Let's throw some of our more entertaining tag teams on here and then just let people enjoy it. It would be cooler if it was for the tag titles and maybe you even have both of them on ladders. Maybe that's why they separate it. One team gets the Raw, one team gets the Smackdown or something. You know what I mean? Like that would be an interesting way of doing it, but I feel like that would be cooler.
Yeah. I don't have anything. I totally agree.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip over some stuff because it's smaller, but we'll see. Hold on, I'm trying to get it up there. I'm trying. I don't know why StreamYard hates me so much sometimes. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So, all right. So we see Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce backstage, and then Logan Paul busts in, and he's very mad and confused about why he is all of a sudden thrown into these qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber, because he's like, what happened to me figuring out who my next opponent was? And now you have me in a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber, which he's not happy about. But he said, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to go in there and I am going to go in my match next week. I'm going to win. I will win the Elimination Chamber. I will then win against Seth Rollins at Mania, and I will be a double champion. He says that he actually deserves the Rock treatment. He should come in, do his thing, and then get out immediately on the private jet. But, it is what it is. He doesn't want to be in Utah next week, but he will do it. And that is when they tell him that he is facing The Miz. And I'm fine with that. I actually enjoyed this segment, and I'm mad at myself for it because I don't like Logan Paul, but I thought he was actually funny in this moment. I know. I actually thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
We're making waves we're making waves, Sarah. We're evolving in 2024. That's great.
I know.
I'm
I
happy
give
for
him
you.
credit for showing up 3-4 weeks in a row now too. Like I
Take it
appreciate that
serious.
that's what I'm saying. If that continues, I can give him credit. I don't have to like him. I mean, I give him
Yeah, I'm
credit
not asking
anyway.
like him. You
I
don't have to like him.
Well, because that's the thing. I can do that. Like I just gave
You can
CM
have
Punk
to.
credit for the presser. He was entertaining. Even his video that he posted afterwards saying that he wanted to be able to talk about Bailey on the pre-show or on the during the press conference, and he didn't get to. I appreciate that kind of stuff. I can give people credit where it's due. So Logan was funny in this. I thought it was hilarious. I don't care that it was only a few minutes, and he wasn't actually doing anything. I think this is fine. I am excited to see what ends up happening because I feel like this could determine who he faces at Mania, and I'm intrigued to see who that is because it could be LA Knight, as we've said. So, then we see the main event, and then we can get to comments to end the show if you like. As soon as this goes up, la 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 la, because of course,
Swerve when I drive, when I swerve, when I drive, look at me, most of mine. Swerve when I drive, yeah, swerve when I drive, yeah, swerve when. Really taking this really?
Yes, I clicked on it.
I was like, I was gonna do it really.
No,
let me see what I try.
Yeah, see, okay, there we go.
There it is.
So we get to the main event, which is Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn in another Elimination Chamber qualifying match, which again, this was a shocking matchup. But I kind of like it because I feel like there are some people in the matches that they could have paired together, and it's like, okay, you could have put Randy versus Dom, you know what I mean? Or like you knew that Dom was going to end up the loser. So I feel like this is kind of cool that we had 2 matches on SmackDown where you don't actually know who's going to win because both people are completely capable. This was a great match, much like what I said earlier with the tag match. This was 2 baby faces against a baby face. People love both. They're definitely going with the emotional underdog story with Sami Zayn, so maybe he's got a little bit of an edge over Randy in that regard. But I thought it was a great match. It was a physical match. I like that they do that no matter what their characters are, because usually you only see that if one guy is a really, really bad guy. That's not the case in this situation. So Randy wins, which I was actually surprised about. Just because of how they're going about this whole thing with Sami. I really thought it was going to be Sami that won. But this, of course, plays into, again, the underdog with Sami, and I feel I'm on board with that. I feel it feels like that's just like what they're always going to do with Sami. It's like he's always going to be that underdog. And I feel like that might be an interesting way to go about his way of getting to Mania. Because we kind of thought about that being like Cody's direction. Like if he didn't win the Rumble, like what's he going to do? And then maybe he doesn't win the Elimination Chamber. So how's he going to get at Mania? We're going to see that with Sami. And I feel like there are some cool ways that they can go about getting him involved in Mania. Like we said, what if it's Okada? What if he is able to worm his way into the World Heavyweight title match? I don't know. We're going to have to see, but I'm intrigued.
It sucks because you want to see Sami Zayn in that match and you want to see Sami Zayn fight for World Heavyweight Championship, but that's the thing with over baby faces like this.
Yeah.
Is that you just keep pushing them down because like no wait, that you gotta wait because then that makes it sweeter. And it's the only thing I can really compare it to is like slow roasting a meal or slow cooking like ribs or something where it's like no, a little longer to get the juices and like you gotta just a little longer. That's what this is, that they're trying to get you so invested and to the point where you're literally like us with Cody tearing our hair out, like put a title on him, put him in a match. And then right when you're at that boiling point and the water's about to come over the pot, that's when like, all right, it's Sami Zayn taking on. It's like, all right, finally. And that's what this is right now. Like losing to Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre consistently beating him week in and week out. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if like Bronson Reed or I'm trying to think of like, or Karrion Kross is in a match with Sami Zayn one week and Karrion Kross gets like a clean win over him, like just stuff like that to really bury him to the point where like, are they going to do anything with him? And then boom, they do something with him. He's been a ruse. It's been all along.
I agree. So it makes me definitely more excited for the Elimination Chamber and then of course Mania. So yeah, I don't know if you want to get to comments since I cannot click on them.
I'm gonna click on them. I got you, girl. This pops up because here's the thing. I have a little theory that they're gonna put Dominic in this Elimination Chamber match, as they should. You need to put Dom in this match. Obviously, talking to win, but how would he not win? And you can't, you don't care. You're just happy he's in the match. Is somehow like R-Truth ends up in the pod with him. Like I just for some reason like he's about to enter the match and like R-Truth like comes up from the pod and it's like, what's up, Dom? Like we got this.
Or he like he just comes out of the audience and just like shows up into his pod, just like opens the door and is like, hey.
Like that would be so funny. And if you could make the argument that it would take away from the match, it wouldn't. Because
no, it's gonna be good anyway.
It's gonna be good anyway. As long as Drew McIntyre wins, no one really cares.
Yeah.
No one really cares.
And that's the thing too. When it comes to the winner, I'm so invested in it being Drew McIntyre. I haven't even considered anyone else winning. It feels like no one else can win this match. So
we have like LA Knight in it.
I know, but it's like LA.
Randy Orton in it. You have like that's what I mean. Like you have big names in it that you're like, oh, for a World Heavyweight, absolutely should be in there. But it's like, no, they go do something else. You can do something else. You don't need to be in the title picture this year.
Yeah,
that would be so funny. I just in R-Truth is at the point wrestling fans don't care. All right, wrestling fans have got to the point where just they have something so set in their mind that if you throw them off a little bit with something comedic or teasing something for the future, then they don't care what the hell happens or who's in the match because they're going to remember moments from that match. And a moment you're definitely going to remember is R-Truth riding his way into the Elimination Chamber with like a ladder or something, like, Tom, climb the ladder. You got to climb the ladder to get the like something that absurd. I mean, for God's sakes, we didn't get to it, but I think that's just a point to bring up is like he confused Kevin Owens with The Miz last night. Like, and it was funny. You can do anything with R-Truth.
Yeah, I agree.
A great comment to a terrible one, Marcus. I just no.
He already has made an appearance. We don't need another one.
I don't need Jake Paul in my life. I tolerate Logan Paul and champ recognized champ. But Logan Paul, I mean Jake Paul, fuck yourself. Like I'm sorry. Like that's my thoughts on it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of oh, here we go. The Blitzer Blazinoa or
Blazin
new peep.
I don't know.
New peep, but I love what your comment is. I love when should David Priest cash in. Imagine if Cody wins the title from Roman only for his moment of glory be ruined by Priest. Here's the thing. You're on the right path. No, you're on the right path. I'm just gonna kind of like nudge you to the other side of the road because it's another champion. That it would be a whole lot better if they did that. And it's Drew McIntyre. Because all Drew needs to validate, like all Drew needs is to just have that moment where he wins the title in front of fans. That's all he needs. And that's fine. How do you ruin that and set up a potential feud that could be months? And they would put on banger matches. And not only that, you give Damian Priest his well-deserved title reign.
I don't even want to think about it.
No, Sara left. Oh, so sad. This internet does not want her. Oh, she's back though. She's back. That's the thing with us. We fight back. Sara's back. I got you, girl. Pulling you back into the yard. Just because the internet doesn't want you on it doesn't mean the peeps in here don't want to hear your thoughts.
I was just gonna say I hate being at a wrestling show where you see something that you really want and you're like so excited, and then just 2 seconds later it all comes crashing down because they do something. I hate that. I love being happy about it because like I was there when Daniel Bryan won, and then Randy Orton came out and cashed in on him, and Triple H helped him win. I was one of those people that was celebrating amongst everybody else that was crying because Daniel Bryan, just got his title taken away. He was screwed. But I was like, yeah, So I do enjoy that. But I would hate to like be so excited for Drew, and then it's like, and then Damian, and it's like I love Damian, but like,
He's all right. He's cool. I like Damian. I love this gimmick that he's on, especially with the whole R-Truth thing.
Yeah,
that's why I like him I think the most out of all, because he's just like, he's the badass and like the muscle and whatever of Judgment Day. But even he's like, dude, R-Truth, like, he's so harmless. He's just a nuisance. He's harmless. Like, you're not gonna get rid of him. Just like let him be. We have our own business to take care of. Like, that's what I love. And you can do some with Judgment Day there too. No, I want to get some more comments here. A lot of superstars weren't on the show last night. Did you guys notice? Kind of, not really. I mean, you didn't have the Street Profits, and I did like the BFAB thing that they're including, so that's why I don't care. Like,
also, like the week before, they didn't have Randy, AJ, or LA Knight on. So, I think it just depends on the show, and that's why I've been saying I think that they're gonna get to a point where SmackDown might need to be 3 hours because it's getting so full. The rosters are getting full, and there's so many people that fans want to see, and it just it doesn't happen, So, I understand. I think that it's probably going to end up happening a lot, especially as they're building up towards Mania, because they're going to want to focus on specific stories and specific people because they're making sure that they have a Mania match. So
couldn't have said it better myself. And they already teased who's going to be on the show next week, so you got to think of it like that. Like, they're not going to be shown this week, but it's because they're building up and going to make you want to watch next week. Think that mind, where that's what we're here to do, to help you get to that mindset, because you're not going to be happy every week, but you got to always look to what's going on in the pipeline, and that's what we're at right now. It's the road to WrestleMania. Like, I'm trying to think of a good way to compare this. So, because wrestling doesn't have an off season, there's no end of the season break, whatever. You have to think of the road to WrestleMania like the final 3 episodes of like Game of Thrones or another drama, that they're gonna pack a lot of stuff into this because they're wrapping up the season. And they are looking for that big payoff. So you're gonna see characters and wrestlers that are not in there because they really don't need to be. They don't have a spot right now, and it's not a bad thing because there's a whole other season approaching and they're getting ready for that. So there's always something. Think of it like a cycle, and once you do that, you understand, and you're like, all right, whatever, and you really cherish what you have in the moment there. So,
agreed.
All right, we're just gonna get out of here before they kick you out for good and you can't jump back in here, Sarah, because like I want to hear your thoughts. I don't need the internet kicking out my co-host like that, my good pal. I don't need it. And we've had a lot of great conversation. We've had a lot of great interaction already this episode. We thank you so much, peeps in the chat, for everything. The super chats, donos, whatever you want to call them, are awesome, and you have no idea how much they mean to not only me, but I think, Sarah, you can attest that it means a lot to you as well. And we want to keep that going. All right, we're going to keep that going because the product's doing great right now, and keep it going by supporting us. Keep supporting by hitting that subscribe button. All right, that's the easiest way to support. Just hit that subscribe button, bell notification, know every time we go live and post. Because not only we go live, but Sara cuts up these shows and puts out the clips. All right, you look at the comments. Go look at if you're a people who's here in the live show and you're seeing some hate in the comments. Let's stick up. Come on, we're a little faction over here. The peeps, come on, help us out and go check out those videos in the archives and give us all your thoughts and whatnot. We love to see that, and then down in the description, all the social media links for our accounts, where to follow us when we're not in the art streams talking about wrestling. We're other places talking about wrestling. So go do that. And we'll be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind. I'm so excited. We got the Super Bowl tomorrow. Sara, let's just steer into the gimmick. All right. Let's steer into that gimmick. Just quick. Who's your pick? Who's your Super Bowl pick?
I don't want to say because I don't want to jinx it. I'm not going to be watching. So I'm not watching the Super Bowl. I'm going to watch the halftime show. I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs. So I don't want to watch them if I have to watch them potentially win. I don't want to. I want nothing to do with it. So
I could not care less about a Super Bowl. And the only reason I have any interest is for other people. I have a friend that, you know, we need a 49ers win for her. That's all I'll say about that. And then my nephew. You can't hate on what your nieces and nephews like. You know, kids are kids. If they're so invested in something, fuck it. Like, all right, because you like he maybe get him a 49ers jersey. And I got him the only 49er that I respect. And that, or I should have got him Bosa. He would have both. Never mind. I'm going on a tangent, but I got him a Chris McCaffrey jersey. He loves it. And I just realized that he's a Chargers fan too, or I'm trying to make him one. And he has a Joey Bosa jersey. I got him one. I should have got him a Nick Bosa. That would have been funny. I didn't even think that would have been cool. But anyways, I'm real rambling over here, and I can't believe the internet has allowed me to do this without kicking Sara out here. So we're just gonna kick ourselves out right now and say thank you for tuning in. God bless. And remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. See you on Tuesday. Yeah. Finish yours.